So welcome to the breathing space meditation for today, the 28th of September. Today we are going to be following one of the standard meditations from this book here, which is from a long time ago. Mark Williams, Danny Penman created this course, Mindfulness, Finding Peace in a Frantic World, which is a really good mindfulness course for coping with relating to thoughts. And the meditation we're comes from kind of week 4 of their course, which is like MBSR, MBCT, moving beyond the rumor mill. So relating to our thoughts. And I've added in relating to feelings as well. So we're following a fairly standard meditation structure there. And I'm going to begin just by getting you all settled and grounded. Then we'll connect to breath and body. Then we'll do a little bit of meditation on sound. And from that gives us our framework for relating to thoughts and feelings. So hopefully that's given us enough time to get organized and settled. Looking around at everybody who's here on Zoom. And let's begin our meditation. So for this meditation, you could be sitting or lying down. Either works fine. Maybe checking in with your energy levels. And if you're feeling particularly tired, maybe preferring to sit up, so you don't fall asleep. Because the whole purpose of this meditation is to come into awareness. But also if you're feeling, quite restless or agitated or a little bit distracted, lying down gives you a nice stable and secure base, a nice way to feel connected to the bed or the settee or the cushion that you're lying on. A nice way to anchor yourself for your meditation. So once we've achieved this posture, you can even make a few little movements. And through that, really feel your connection to chair or mat. Maybe begin to turn attention inwards to those points of contact where the weight of the body is supported and connected to the surface beneath you. And as we do, just inviting a slowing down, letting go of all the rushy and busy of a world that is constantly asking us to do things and get things done. Just let that go, put that to one side, and feel a sense of coming into this space where we have nothing to do. A space where we are simply going to be in awareness of our present moment lived experience. As a sense of arriving, just beginning to connect more to our own inner experience, we could imagine dropping a pebble into a lake. And then this idea of slowing things down, almost frame by frame. That pebble that falls down through the lake falls really slowly. And as it falls, first of all, we can connect to the mind and just drop this question, like the pebble falling through the water, becomes a question, what's going on in my mind right now? And once we have that general sense of the thought patterns or the energy of the mind today, we can follow that stone as it falls a little bit deeper. We can connect to emotions, just ask that question, what's my emotional weather pattern of today? Just tune into that. And as that pebble slowly drops further deeper into the water, we can come to a place underneath thoughts and underneath words. Just ask generally, how are things in my body today? So the pebble finally comes to rest at the bottom of the lake, and the lake bed is secure and stable, and just holds that pebble very gently. And so we can connect to the body for a few minutes. Just feel your body like that pebble resting on the lake bed. Begin to feel the movement of the breathing in the body. It might be today that you find that you heard me say, follow the breathing in the body, and then your mind wandered off somewhere else. And now my voice is bringing you back, and you're going, oh, what happened to the breathing thing? Well, luckily, your body's always breathing by itself. And if your attention wanders like a puppy off to something else other than where you want it to be, with some gentle kindness, we can just say, wow, well done for noticing that wandering mind. And well done for coming back into awareness. And then we can just gently encourage our awareness, our attention back into feeling the movement of breathing in the body. So for this first part, we really are just connecting to body, kind of finding our anchor, this place where the body becomes our anchor to something concrete in the present moment. Might be the movement of breathing, or maybe today you find it easier to anchor your attention in the feet or the body in contact with the bed, or maybe your hands. So as we rest here with the breathing, just checking in with those other possible anchors, seeing which one works for you today as a way of just connecting yourself to something concrete in the present moment. By concrete, I mean there's sensations in the body that we can only feel in the present moment, like the feet in contact with the bed or the floor, the body in contact with the surface beneath us, sensations in the hands. They're all things that we can feel right now in this present moment. And then expanding our awareness to feel the whole body and the breathing at the center of this body. And with the breathing in and the breathing out, just inviting the legs to feel just that little bit heavier. Allow them to relax and release. Feel them supported by the bed or the chair. Let go of efforting and just breathe that heaviness and relaxation into the legs. With that breathing in and out, let's invite the arms also to feel just that little bit heavier. Feel the weight of the arms received and held by the settee or the bed or the mat, or even if you're sitting, just feel the weight of the arms supported by your sides or the arms resting in your lap. Let go of efforting. Come to this place of nothing to do, nowhere to go, just resting here in effortless awareness. Breathing in and breathing out. Let's invite the neck and the head also to relax. Allow the weight of the head to sink into the pillow or the cushion. If you're sitting, allow the neck to find its balancing point where there's no straining forwards or backwards. Feel the neck supported, effortless. Breathing in and breathing out. Let's feel also the back, the belly, the chest. Letting go of any effort, any tension. Feel the weight of the body received by mat or cushion or chair. And then as we rest here, in this physical embodied awareness of body and breathing, we invite our curiosity towards any sounds we might have in the world around us. We invite our curiosity and then we just see what happens. So there's this kind of awareness where we can feel the body. We can feel our contact with the mat or the cushion. We can feel our breathing moving in the body. And yet we also have this open awareness around us of sounds. So it's a very grounded, anchored base to an awareness that can expand into the space around you. We don't need to go searching for sound. The minute it becomes striving, just be aware of that and relax your attention. The same way we relaxed our body. And allow the sounds to arise in their own way. It might be that you notice the absence of sound. So we just invite our curiosity to listen, to be aware of sounds. But if there are no sounds, notice what happens as we just stay in awareness of any sounds that might arise, the subtle, even maybe the sound of your own breathing, your own heartbeat. The sound of a computer fan, or maybe there are people in the world around you, or traffic on the roads. Sounds that might be near, sounds that might be far distant. And as best as you can, just be aware of sound, as a pitch, as a volume, as a duration. And for now, if there's any tendency to label a sound, we hear a sound and instantly we associate it with something. Can we just let go of that label, that word, come back to how those sound waves arrive into the body, a tone, a pitch. Every time you notice that the mind has gone into thinking, well done for noticing the busy mind. Can then drop down out of thought, back into this body, lying and breathing, feeling that movement of breath in the body, and then reconnect to sound or silence and what it's like just to lie here, listening to or being aware of the sounds or the absence of sounds around us. So this capacity to be aware of the wandering mind, to be aware that as we invite attention to sound, inevitably thinking says, Oi, you haven't paid attention to this busy mind for 5 seconds. I'm going to throw a thought at you. Pull your attention away from the sound. Yeah, because thinking can be like quite demanding of attention. It's got lots of tricks up its sleeve to pull us away. Before we know it, we're thinking again. So this capacity to notice that we're thinking, to let go of that, say to the thinking, hang on, look, I'll come back to you in a minute. Right now, I want to just rest here and connect to the body and the breathing. And I just want to be curious about sound in the room around me. This capacity to connect, to let go of thinking, is very important for what will come up in the next part of our meditation. So I'll just give you another minute or two to practice that, noticing when thinking arrives, disconnecting from the thinking, coming back to body, breath, and then opening back out to being curious about sound. So as we came into our meditation today, when we were imagining the pebble dropping down through the lake, we had an opportunity to connect to mind and emotions and body. And in our meditation, we're not trying to change any of that or even forget any of that. If anything, we're going to reconnect to that. But from now, this very grounded and embodied place. So we have this mindful space where we slowed everything down and where we now have a choice of where we put our focus of attention. So the invitation now is, as much as you can, to connect to curiosity about the thoughts that might be going around in your head. So the thoughts are kind of like center stage now in your awareness. And as you watch them, can we imagine them as just events in the mind? There's two ways that I've always suggested. They all come from different mindfulness teachers. And usually in MBSR, we're invited to imagine our thoughts a bit like clouds in the sky. And we observe them, might be a fluffy cloud or a stormy cloud, a rain cloud. So we can notice different types of thoughts, but they're far, far away, and we just observe them from a distance. Can be curious about their shape or their intensity. Um, Another way is to imagine you're sitting watching traffic, and maybe the thoughts are like buses that drive past. And if you're sitting at a bus stop, a thought might stop right in front of you, and before you know it, you're sitting on the bus. You don't know how you got on the bus, but there you are. You're in that thought, and it's now driving you around. Well, you can always just get off. You can ring the bell, get off at the next stop, go back to watching the buses driving past on the road. And maybe on those buses, you might notice a label that says planning or worrying or a memory or, what we often do, replaying conversations, trying to make sense of things. So we can observe our thoughts in those ways. A third is possibly to imagine you're sitting at the side of a river and the thoughts are like leaves or currents in the water. So whatever one of those visualizations works for you, let's see if we can now just lie here, connect with the body and the breathing, and then invite this curious awareness into just observing thoughts as events in the mind. And you can stay connected to body and breathing, and then just wait. Maybe you notice the beginning of a thought. You see how a thought emerges, how it develops, maybe then how it fades away. Like sounds, thoughts might have a different tone or pitch or volume. And we could add in a sense of what we call feeling tone, and that's felt in the body. So as we observe these thoughts in our mind, if we just drop underneath the thought, how does it land? How does it resonate in the emotions and the feelings of the body? If you want, you could play a game where you kind of tune into the body and it's like dialing down the volume on the thoughts and then tuning back into the thoughts, dialing the volume back up on the thoughts. You could just play with that volume switch from the body to the thoughts, to the body to the thoughts. It's a good way of not getting too caught up in the thinking and staying grounded and connected to the body and the breath. So when we've got nothing to do, when we're lying here and we're just resting in awareness, we literally have nothing to do. This part of the brain that switches on is called the default mode network. And it's not a part of the brain, it's a whole network of different places in the brain. And its job is to kind of create our biographical history, the story of us. And so when we have nothing to do, it switches on and it starts processing all the things that we're doing and trying to make sense of them. So we go into planning, we go into rumination, we replay events. That's quite normal. Everybody's mind does this. So if you're lying here and you're observing that sort of thinking, then that's the default mode network at work. But it can only be doing this when we have nothing to do. So that's why if we connect back to the body, we give the mind something to do. Oh, we've got to focus on the breathing or the feeling of the body. And the default mode network has to switch off when we connect to the body. And then as we rest with nothing to do, it switches back on. So this ability to notice thoughts, but to reconnect, give the body something, the mind something to do. I'll focus on the breathing. That breath brings us back to the concrete now, the present moment. So this is why when we're doing this meditation on thoughts, we're allowing our default mode network to open up and we're allowing it to kind of drift into thinking and rumination and planning or whatever. But we're keeping ourselves grounded so we can observe the default mode network in action. How those thoughts just bubble up out of nowhere. If you're noticing that your thinking is going always to a particular topic or theme, just pay particular attention to the emotional feeling tone underneath that thinking. Get a sense of whether it's driven by any anxiety or any particular emotion. Again, just observe that there's very often a connection between the body, the emotional feeling tone, and the nature of thinking. So we can be curious to observe any flow of emotional energy while we notice the flow of thoughts. And remember that there's no action required right now. We're simply observing. Perhaps as we connect to thinking or emotions, there's an impulse. I should, I could, I must, an urge to do something. I got to fix this or change that or whatever. And if we can we just let that impulse be noticed? Maybe even notice how it feels in the body or the thoughts that it's connected to, but really just stay connected to the breathing, the body, and this place of effortless, nothing to do. Just observe. We also have to remember that there's no right way or wrong way to be feeling. That in this meditation, we're simply observing what is here today in body, in mind, in emotions. And there might be a sense of, I like this or I don't like this. I wish things were different. I want to feel different. So can we recognize those just as thoughts as well? These are thoughts that are reacting or coming out of a reaction to the way that we feel. And we just observe those thoughts as well, that we observe them arising Observe their tone, their feeling tone, their volume. And then we come back again to body, breath, and just observe that thought as it eventually fades away. We have to remember also that in life it's impossible for everything to feel good, just as it's pretty much impossible for everything to feel bad. That life is often a mixture of all sorts of different experiences, some of which we like and some of which we don't like, and some are easy, some are difficult, but can we just accept that whether we like it or not, life is going to throw us a whole variety of different experiences, and it's the same with our thoughts. Some of the thoughts are going to feel good, some are going to feel a little bit more challenging. Can we notice that though? This is an Just notice the nature of the thought, even notice if it feels nourishing or if it feels depleting of your energy, but just observe them all. So, yeah, these thoughts can be quite powerful. One minute you're sitting at the bus stop watching the buses, the next minute you realize you're all caught up in a story, and your mind is just building this story and scenario and dialogue, and you're caught up in the whole thing. You've lost touch with your body. You're no longer focused on your breathing. You're somewhere else completely. So well done for noticing that and for this capacity to be aware of, oh, I'm caught up in thinking. Well done for noticing. Come back to my body, check in with my emotions, come back to breathing and lying here. We have maybe another 4 or 5 minutes of our meditation time left. You could come back now to just connecting to body and breathing. Come back to opening up your curiosity to thoughts and sounds and feelings in the body, sensations in the body, and come into what we call choiceless awareness. Resting with breath and body is the anchor to the practice. Just allowing sounds or thoughts to arise, fade. Just be the observer of those as events that just happen that we can be curious about. As we observe our thoughts, it can be sometimes like, I don't know, opening up Netflix. And you go through the menu of all the different programs that are on offer. And all those thoughts in your head, they're all there, just like all those programs on the menu, but we don't need to watch them all. Like you just kind of flick through, go, oh no. Sometimes we open up Netflix, it's all the same thing, it's all the same theme, suddenly it's all dystopian this or crime thrillers or whatever, and you go, no, I don't want to watch that today. Sometimes it feels like Netflix just keeps throwing these same old, tired stories at you. You're like, same with your thoughts, could be throwing the same old stories at you again and again. You go, oh, I don't want to watch this today. We can be aware it's there though. We can recognize that the thoughts are in your head. We just tune out, tune into the body or the breathing or some way of connecting to what's actually real and now. But it doesn't mean we push the thoughts away or try to change them, because that then becomes a fight, a battle between what is here, and it's like we're trying to change or shut down or stop these thoughts. That can become like a fight, a battle, and that's definitely not mindfulness. Mindfulness is more being aware, observing, and choosing where to focus our attention. And it's like on a Netflix menu, you can't delete anything. Netflix keeps suggesting programs for you. You still have a choice of where you want to put your focus, or you could just switch the TV off and go and read a book instead, or do something else. We always have that choice of where we want to put our focus. And also, there are times when we are just obsessed with dark thoughts or self-judgment thoughts or anxious thoughts. And if that's the case, we need to also invite a little bit of self-compassion. This is a time of difficulty. And can I just invite a little bit of kindness around this? How would that feel? So as we come into the very last few minutes of our or minute of our practice, maybe just tuning out of those thoughts if we still have any around, and practice that idea of not trying to delete them or push them away, just to tune out and tune back into body lying on the bed or the chair. Tune into the breathing in the body. Tune back into maybe wiggling fingers and toes, feeling that movement. If you want, when you're ready, having a little stretch, maybe a sip of water. And I'm going to end the recording there. But if you're watching this on a video later on YouTube, you can draw yourself a grid, and it's like putting the paper into four corners. And in one corner, you can write thoughts, and in the next, you can write feelings, and then you could write sensations, and in the last quarter, you can write impulses. Sort of if you imagine the bookshelf behind me, there's the little four boxes. You can make one box for thoughts, and one box for feelings, one box for physical sensations, one box for impulses. And you could just jot down after your meditation, even if it's just the briefest of awareness of what's happened in your meditation. And then just keep it. And the next time you sit down and do a meditation on thoughts and feelings, you can do the same little jot down, and then you can compare the two day by day or week by week. Things that you think are always on your mind, you might realize, actually, no, it was only this week, and next week it's something completely different. Or you might notice that when you're feeling a certain way in your body, like here's physical sensations, suddenly there's these thoughts popping up, and you realize there's a connection between your physical and your thinking. Or you might notice there's certain feelings around when certain thoughts are around. So that little way of recording things over time can be very useful, might bring up some insight. And around it, if you've had a really difficult meditation, you can take a nice color, maybe a pink color or a yellow color, and you can write, how can I bring kindness to this? And just invite some kindness into each of those boxes that you've observed. Nice way of finishing it all with a bit of self-compassion. So I'm going to end the recording there and give us all a chance to come back to have a little chat about today's meditation.